you play with me?
Hi.
Hi, Rashma.
Hello, this is Georg. I'm still in the car. I will be home in a few minutes.
No worries. Hey, Sebastian. How you doing?
Hey, Roddy.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right. We'll give it just another moment or two. We'll see if anybody comes in. But if anyone has questions, please feel free to let me know. Luke, how can we help today?
Hey, yeah, I just had some questions. Hopefully this is the right place to ask, but I had some questions about kind of like how funding happened last year and how maybe it's shaping up to happen this year. I wasn't too involved with the Treasury withdrawals last year. Can you guys help me kind of understand the process that happened?
I'm not sure if we're the best committee for that, but is there something specific that you're looking to understand better?
Yeah, because like my impression, and maybe it's just a soundboard exercise, but my impression is that this year we're aligning everything with the pillars, and I think Lloyd said something to that effect. But my impression last year, and I'm just looking at Ecclesia, and I'm noticing that like a lot of proposals were, like ours, for example, MLabs were aligned with the open source committee in the core budget. But I didn't know if that meant like that there was like a sort of open source category last time, or how the relationship worked there. Is that just like a superficial thing on Ecclesia? So that's kind of a question I was wondering about. I don't know if this is the place to get where I can get an answer or not. But yeah.
I can answer a little bit about that.
Okay.
As someone closer to, I guess, the process, but I don't have all of it.
No, yeah, I understand.
Last year they did organize the treasury withdrawals, or the requests rather, into buckets.
Okay.
And that was an idea to give better identity. If I understand correctly, I do not believe that budgets moved forward into the 2026 budget process. So it is more so like in 2025, it was aligned within a bucket and aligned to a pillar of the draft strategy. So both were in force.
Okay.
Whereas this year, there's no. They may still bucket the withdrawal requests, or the proposals rather, we should say. But I'm not fully clear on how exactly that would work. The idea was just to say, if you're a DREP and you're focused on, if a DREP were to make their decisions and say, I'm primarily focused on the governance and ecosystem concerns, I'm not necessarily worried about the technical stuff. They may abstain from all technical proposals,
right, okay,
but explicitly cast their vote otherwise. So, again, a good part of that is probably speculation, but that's the general idea that I believe was working last year. And I think it's going to take until we're in practice to see it full scale for this year.
Makes sense. So committees also. So of course vendors applied directly, but committees also applied last year at least. And I think I remember seeing documents from you guys, you all.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Cool. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think those kind of the main ones for right now. Thanks.
You bet. All right. We've got a few others in here, so let's go ahead and kick off. First, of course, we do have our developer advocate check-in. So we'll kick this over. I do believe I see Dan and Uche, if either of them would like to provide an update.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, for the developer advocates, it's been, work as usual. But primarily we've been focused on, getting our milestones in, because this is like the end of the quarter. So we've been kind of like focused on trying to make sure that our milestones are ready for review, by the OSC. But aside from that, we've been continuing with, the DevX weekly sessions, and then the spotlights calls have also been happening as well, So yep, I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Any other updates? No pressure.
I think there is none for now.
Okay. Any questions from any committee members for the developer advocates who are present?
Yeah,
This
so
This is Georg. I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. I will go through the milestone submitted. You guys can just summarize quickly how many milestone submitted, or which project, which part you're talking about it. So one is the survey, right? And what else?
So there is a project board on the Intersect org repo. So let me just paste the link on the chat. So on this board, you have the OSC/TSC review column. So that's like where all of the milestones for the quarter is, especially the milestones that are ready to be reviewed by the OSC. So you can go through any of them and review, and then drop your comments if you have any.
As a reminder today, this is the contract for them. So there's about 10 to 12 milestones for each developer advocate here. One is for the developer experience working group and their participation. Another is regarding onboarding new developers. Next is meetings, so the various meetings that they may have within the community engagement, and feedback and improvement. These first 5 are stable milestones throughout each quarter. They have to report on this. When we break down into these other ones, I can appreciate if it's not the most clear, but we do have the developer experience repository that they've been building in. So for Q4, they had to submit at least 3 per quarter. So this is actually kind of like the first 5. They continue to contribute that way. Quarter 1 was establishing or publishing a change log. So they do have a change log up, and it is updated. Once everything is reviewed, we'll get a copy of that up on our Gitbook. For Q2, what they'll be doing is individually, they'll be logging 10 pieces of feedback from developers. So they've already been collecting. If I scroll back here a little bit, it's in number 1, is developer experience pain points. So by the end of Q2, the expectation is for each developer advocate to collect and log 10 pieces of feedback, and essentially, hopefully, they've been able to take action on a number of those pieces of feedback, at least to say, hey, there's a fix in the works, or this has been reported to the appropriate teams, so on and so forth. I don't want to spend too much time, but this is available in the Google Drive. It's also published on the Gitbook pages. So I encourage you to review that. But if you would rather look at the project board where the milestones are there and submitted, that's another option that you have as well. And again, that's under Open Source Office Project 71.
Yeah, so is it correct that there are 36 items up for review?
Currently, yes, but it looks like there are 13 in progress and 8 still awaiting action. So if we put that all together, there's going to be 42, 50, 55 altogether between the 4 advocates.
Okay.
And sorry, and to review from by the open source committee, is the column Q1 to do in progress and the other column, right?
The only review is
and
whatever is here in this review column, OSC TSC review.
those are to review by the open source committee.
Correct. Yeah. So in progress is something that the developer advocates are actively working on.
Okay.
And then the to do is something that they are still, they haven't taken action to submit their pieces yet. So
Okay, thanks.
mhm. Any other questions on the developer advocate stuff?
I want to express also as Georg my appreciation for your work and your service. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, so the next item that I have here on the agenda, just keep things moving here a little bit. We do have Mithril Signer addition to Cardano node. So this is a little more technical in nature, but it was asked for the OSC to give an opinion on this if you guys have one. Trying to give the details here, but there is a milestone. I believe this is from IOE in their budget, focusing on the integration between the Mithril project and Cardano. As part of the effort, they have plans to include the Mithril Signer binary in the artifacts of the Cardano node GitHub release. Look like that's starting from 10.8. So this may be beyond the hard fork ready or alongside of it, depending on what version is actually the hard fork candidate here. But if there's anybody who's familiar with the Mithril project or have any questions about the essentially that binary going into Cardano node, yeah, there was just a request for feedback if there is any from the OSC. If there's no issues, then we can move forward, or if there's questions, I can forward that back. Yeah.
As a rule of thumb, including binaries in open source is a terrible idea because binaries cannot be inspected. And so we lose the transparency and the ability to cooperate and collaborate around improving that technology. It's really difficult to inspect binaries. There's a lot of issues that come with embedding binaries in open source software repositories or in the release. So I would want to understand the case for doing this.
I've just reached out to the contributor who sent forward this request. I'm going to see if they can hop in at all. But yes, thank you for that feedback. Anybody else with feedback? Mike.
Yes, hi everyone. Sorry, I'm not in the committee, so like, yeah, it was just mostly a question. Nothing about decision making. They want to add the Rust build mitral signer to the Haskell node itself, or like was it like just bundled in the binaries provided through the Cardinal node repository? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, the request is explicit to just add the mithril signer binary to the Cardano node. It doesn't give. Hang on a second.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, if it's that, it's kind of great, but that's fine. Sorry, I don't want to influence you guys. I'll just keep listening.
I've got someone who can hop in here. It looks like, so give me just a moment. Uday, is somebody else more in the technical space? Do you have any opinions or thoughts on this while we're waiting?
I'm not heard about Mithril, but not very much familiar about it. So I can do a little bit research and give feedback later on, but I don't have any ready feedback on this. I agree with Gogs that, if it's kind of binary only inclusion, it doesn't really go well with the open source philosophy. So that's agreed, but yeah, better to hear more about it. What is the starting point? How it? What is the trigger for this to be included?
Okay, I believe we have Jean-Philippe who just joined. I don't know if he's still here. May have dropped.
It
Yes.
would be great. Sorry, it would be great if we could have access to some kind of documentation or some proposal, written proposal or something like that. We can start to start a conversation. Okay,
So,
thanks.
so this is an Intersect milestone that we're working on right now, and the idea is to bring Mithril and Cardano closer, because we think that Mithril brings something to Cardano, in particular with the fast bootstrapping mechanism that we have for the node, and also the fact that we create state proofs for the Cardano blockchain. So you can prove things without running a full node, but the counterpart is that Mithril needs to operate next to a Cardano node, and we run the Mithril signers next to. I mean, the SPOs are running the Mithril signers, so we need SPO engagement and SPO to be running the Mithril signer in order to operate the protocol. So there is this milestone, which is something that we are working on, and so for this we have created a document that I've shared with you. Terence, let me check that. So I will share with you this document where we explain how to get more adoption of Mithril by getting a closer integration between Mithril and Cardano. And the problem with Mithril is that today we don't have already an incentive mechanism. So people who are running the SPOs who are running Mithril are running that as volunteers, I would say. So we have 25% of the stake who are running already Mithril today. But we need to increase the adoption. And the fact that Mithril and Cardano gets closer is also a good sign for SPO to set it up, to participate in the protocol. To participate in the protocol means also adding more security to the protocol, because the more stake involved, the better the security. And what we have been doing so far is we have already put Mithril inside the developer documentation of Cardano. So it's not released yet because it's still on staging, but it should be live today or tomorrow. And the second stage is to put the methyl signer inside the Cardano node release artifacts. And what I didn't mention is that today there is also the DMQ node. So Mithril is working with the DMQ node to run the peer-to-peer network on which Mithril operates. And the DMQ node is already being implemented inside the artifact of the Cardano node release. So the idea, the logical next step is to get the methyl signer also included in that artifact. After, I think, the ultimate idea would be that if you set up Cardano node as a SPO, you also set up the methyl signer, because the methyl signer is like a very small piece that uses pretty much no CPU and no memory, and that contributes to the security and to the scalability of the protocol. I need to find the ICANN.
So I'm Georg. I'm going to jump in here because we have also other agenda items that we want to get to. So that's already good information. Thank you for that. My position is still that it's better to include source code in an open source project, not binaries. So if we can, I think Uday especially was offering to do some deep dive to look at this.
Yeah, I said that I will be able to comment once I go through the bit more, but yeah, we can have a generic approach if you want to define here.
JP, if Mithra was brought to Intersect at any point in the future alongside the node, would you still require the need to add the signer binary to the node itself, to the node artifacts?
Yeah, I think it doesn't really. But I think what we need is to make that clear to SPOs and to everyone that Mithril is really part of the Cardano ecosystem and something that needs to be set up by SPOs. So yeah, that's it doesn't really make change. It doesn't really change if we are on the Intersect organization or if we are on IOHK. I think it's better maybe that it's under the same umbrella to make that a little bit more clear, but it doesn't really change this requirement. Also, this is something that could evolve in the future. I think it's a first step, and there might be other ideas that will be more, that would remove the need to include this binary in the future. So I would consider that really as a kind of a kickoff and for Mithril to get more adoption and to bring the full capacity and the full power it represents to the community. But overall, the setup of the whole Cardano SPO infrastructure is a little bit cumbersome. And anytime we had a new binary, we have the methyl signer, we have the DMQ node. It gets more and more complex for the community to operate that. So I think there is something more that would need to be addressed and to provide a solution that would be something from the ecosystem to solve this complexity of operating the infrastructure. I think I found the ICANN define. I will share it with you with our proposals. And right now we are just trying to implement the first two proposals.
Would it be appropriate from the committee members as well as for UJP, could we come back in 2 weeks to kind of revisit this in our next meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Back.
Yep, this is Georg. I think that's a good idea. Give us some time to look at the proposals and then we can discuss. This is the first time that I heard about it today. So yeah, let's revisit this. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So I will see you, I guess, next time.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And if you have more questions, please let me know and I will simply request additional information. But we do have the links in the chat there, and I'll try to pull those out separately as a message in Discord for you. Before we move to the next one, Jordan, I understand we had a conference for you last week. Do you have any updates, or is there anything you'd like to share prior to us seeing an actual report from the event?
Yeah, I just want to mention I did finish up a report, which I'll be updating soon. Attended the conference last week. It was really productive. I got to meet with a couple of groups that were underrepresented in the blockchain space, and I got to talk a little bit about the paid open source model and the benefits of that space. I talked with some folks over at the SUI ecosystem and kind of like what they were focused on and kind of how they could improve in those areas, along with a lot of people that are in the Godot space, and how they're moving over to Godot over Unity, which is open source. So yeah, I'll be releasing that report soon. But yeah, overall it was super productive.
Great. If I can keep you for a moment here regarding the open source summit planning updates. Jordan, are you still planning or able to attend this event May 18th to 20th?
Yeah, as long as everything is consistent with our budgeting, I still plan on attending May 18th.
Perfect. Okay. All righty. So as far as planning updates, again, if you have missed this for any reason, we did get agreement from the Cardano Foundation to co-sponsor this event with us. We have already received their funding contribution, and we hope to be signing the contract for the sponsorship with the Linux Foundation. My hope is by the end of next week. So I'm pushing that as quickly as I can, but there are a few signatures that do hold up the process there. As far as budgeting, I will flip over here, and I don't want to share this for too long, but here's essentially our list of who is going currently. Let me just hide that real quick. So we do have myself and Georg actually have a speaking engagement at this event, separate from the gold sponsorship. We have Bora, who's coming from the CF. Sebastian, Jordan, Uday is tentatively confirmed. We also have tentatively confirmed Dan, Emmanuel, and Haroon as developer advocates. Because we have additional seats available with Georg and I getting speaker passes to the event, we're looking at inviting Sam Leathers, who's basically like head of Cardano Tech, and his title may have changed here a little bit, but he's really, really knowledgeable about Cardano altogether. James from Andamio, who is stateside, but as an allude to, or has done a lot of stuff in open source, came from the Gimda Labs environment, so very closely tied to developer education in general, developer onboarding, and development in pure scale. There's a potential for another party from the CF regarding them taking the sponsorship speaking engagement. So it's something that we offered to them, basically for whatever topic they feel is best. And then because I should have a ticket from serving on the program committee, I believe we may have an open spot, but the preference is for this to be somebody from the US so we can ensure that even at a last minute, they would still be able to travel here. This 7224 is based on 12 rooms at roughly 4 to 6 nights per person. That's dependent because some of these are international and would need an additional day to kind of, or additional night to come early. But this is coming in under budget where the original budget was about 8,700 was calculated. We were able to provisionally secure a group rate that has reduced this cost. So that is a good thing. Again, I don't want to show this for too long here. We're still planning a rough budget for 5,000 around merch. This would be about 1,500 here, which gives us Vesper cards as one giveaway at the event. Some other merch is still to be determined. There's still some travel and per diem amounts to be defined, but for committee members, as you'll see here, this is minus the estimated hotel cost. The expectation is obviously not to use the full bid if we don't have to. But there's just a quick look here, and the totals come out to about this 195, which is a majority of what we have left. I could still do some exact math. Dave would like to potentially attend the Paris Blockchain Week, so that's something that we can still decide on, but it is a little bit budget contingent at the moment. So I'll have to wait until after Builderfest is officially paid out, see what the balance is and what's still to be claimed, and then we'll know if we've hit this number or if we have anything additional. So I can circle back on that at another point. One last mention is that at the request of the Cardano Foundation, or rather suggestion of the Cardano Foundation, the booth would be branded as Cardano with the CF and Intersect logos as subsets, if you will, since it is a co-sponsored event. This matches or meshes with like the Cardano events that were run by Rare Evo under a separate budget proposal, but it also allows us to put the best foot forward to drive adoption for Cardano, adoption for blockchain and Web3 at the Open Source Summit, which is typically more, I don't want to say TradFi, but TradFi, trad business focused. And we talked a little bit about that in yesterday's meeting as well. So I want to give some space here to answer any open questions that might be out there. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. Bernard.
Yes, greetings everyone. It's just to give my vote. I think I'm happy with it. Especially this was the Linux Foundation, teaming up with Cardano Foundation for this event and branding the both Cardano. I think it's a very good thing. Thank you for that one. Like I said before.
Yeah, thank you for spearheading this, and I also appreciate the collaboration with the Cardano Foundation.
Awesome. If there are no other questions, we'll just remind you the documents for this are all going into the shared drive, so any committee member has access to those at any time. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to send me a DM. I'm working to get as much confirmed by the end of March, early April, which is the next 2 weeks. So hopefully in our next meeting, I'm able to provide a little more substantive update. But yeah, anytime, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out or even just check the drive to see where the active progress is. Under the travel folder, I did create a specific folder for this sponsorship event. So please feel free to have a look around there. If you do see anything, don't hesitate to leave a comment. If you have a question, I would just say, please refrain from editing anything directly unless you're adding a suggestion or something that is an approved task. But yeah, pretty straightforward. We'll move over to the tooling program here. I have this as confirmed decisions. There's a document here. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Tooling. Yes, I have a million tabs. I'm sorry. But this does have a number of the proposals that were submitted by MLabs and a couple that were submitted by Mesh.js. Now there was some AI used to create this report. I don't have a real issue with that. I understand time can be a constraint. But I believe some of the information, if not most of the information, has been verified. I know I have looked through it for many of these here. But it comes down to either some recommended routes or some questions for each one here, right? So I guess that's at the top. As we go through each one, what you see here is some various risk flags, and then these bottom line questions. If you have not already, the ask has been out now for the last couple of weeks to please go in here and review this. Kind of a free space to just simply add any questions that you may feel. This is, I have it on suggesting, so that means that we can just, accept it in there or show that there's a new question. But if you have a question that has not been, purely stated as a risk or outlined further, that's an opportunity for you to put it in here. Most of these are kind of an if funded scenario here. I don't think there's anything that was a, yes, we should absolutely fund this right away. So the confirmed decisions is, do we still need more time on this? If so, can we close this out by the next meeting? Because these have been in here for quite a while now. And do we have a priority list, or are there any that we can nix right off the bat? I'm open to have a little bit of discussion here just in the meeting. So.
Sorry, first question, this is for the next budget item, right? Not from the current budget or the next budget?
This would be the current budget that we have not expended as of yet, with the exception of Cecerium, which was approved back in January.
Okay.
So far we've funded one tooling project. That milestone, there's milestones, and that's currently active. We have not funded any other tooling projects, and so conservatively we have. Let me see. It was a million ADA. We're set to lose. I'm going to say max maybe 150,000 ADA with the current payment scheme. So we've got 800,000+ ADA that can, be used or converted if absolutely required to fund tooling projects here. There is also the suggestion that some of this change to ensure that for future hard forks, like the next inter-era hard fork, which is Dijkstra, that we support some tools to get across the line there. Again, that was a suggestion from the Intersect technology team. We have not had a chance to update the documentation as of yet, but just something as an awareness of, is there something specifically from this list that we want to fund right now, need to fund right now, or do we create an action plan for the next 6 months to focus on funding those other projects? We don't have to spend all of the funds. Again, whatever we don't spend goes back to the treasury, but there may be some tools that are worthwhile. So I'd love to hear from everybody, because we haven't been seeing, I haven't seen many updates. Sebastian, I don't know if you've been approving comments from other committee members or not.
No, not really. Not just some. No comment from other OSC members for the moment.
This is Georg. One of my challenges with reviewing this is that I don't understand the tooling space, the technology side of Cardano. And so when I look at this, one of the things that I'm concerned about is the importance of these tools to the Cardano space. And for the proposals that I've reviewed in the past, it was not always evident how important they are whether there is adoption. So those are the things that I've looked at. If that has changed for the proposals we looked at in the past, then I'd be open to revisit them again.
Yeah. Quick, maybe question and comment. The program is tooling sustainability program. My understanding is that this is for the existing tools, right? And when we are talking about the existing tools and their sustainability, we need to make sure those existing tools are quite important for the ecosystem. The utilization is demonstrated, right? That it is used by the developers or the ecosystem regularly. So if that is so, then I think it's less of issue to support it and accept that, what is the change or what is the quantum of amount being requested. But if so, we have to review this part. I think I have not gone through it, but I think that should be the major criteria. If it's how much is being utilized already, so then we should fund the sustainability of it. Otherwise, yeah, maybe we need to give a pass. So that's a basic high-level statement, but also the question that anybody can, if we have someone from AmLab, they or anyone can vouch for the which tools is really we know for sure it's used a lot, for example.
Yeah, so we do have Luke here, and Luke, I'll give you a kind of a specific question to answer, which is right along what Dave was saying there. A number of these proposals lack definition of user adoption here. So if you can speak to that for any of these projects that are listed.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't know this was coming up today. So definitely happy to give you the answers. So the things that are here are, there is a gradation or whatever gradient of usability or like use adoption here. The ones that are probably the most prominent are the ones that deal with transaction building. And that would be CTL. We have incorporated that with several clients throughout its history. If you don't know the history of it, it was a PAB. Sort of, I don't want to say replacement, but like alternative solution, browser-based kind of like Ethereum GS alternative that we've had a lot of client adoption with, and we want to continue. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to figure out the scope of this, but I think someone in ImLabs has these documents and is aware of the scope. But things that we wanted to do is try to make these more JavaScript friendly and get off of the dependency on PureScript with CTL. So that was a big one there. YTXP is something that we have incorporated in, I'm not sure if this is publicly knowledgeable, but publicly distributed information, but in some live applications on mainnet. And we are interested in using this sort of proxy pattern to potentially be able to fund other type of like primitives. What we're kind of looking at right now is the Grumble Silkskin project and seeing if that can be used as a way to have sort of audited cryptographic curves that can be sort of pulled into a transaction. I think this is the case with sort of a payment via YTXP. So that has applicability there. And the final one that definitely has a use case in TX Village, which is like a Rust-based transaction building framework. I'm a little bit light on some of the details. Covenant is was kind of more of an experimental. It's meant to be a chain agnostic framework for building languages. So it doesn't actually go through the whole compilation pipeline, is my understanding, but rather spits out a sort of IR language that is easily interpretable. That the idea is that you have building, you have tooling like CTU PLC that will take this IR and turn it into, UPLC that can be submitted on code. And this could have a cross-chain applicabilities that we've sort of fleshed out with a recent adopter. And again, I'm not sure if this is public knowledge, so that's why I wouldn't say names specifically. So we have some adoption with some of these, and I think Lambda buffers has also been used in 2 or 3 of our client works. So a little bit light on details just because I didn't know this was coming up. But of course, if this is something you continue to visit, I can definitely pull in, our CTO bid to get more firm numbers here. So yes, we do have some adoption with these for sure. CTO being the biggest, probably TX Village, YTXP next, and then Lambda buffers. I think it's been a little bit used, a little bit less used recently, and Covenant is more of a up and coming new product that we want to flesh out more. So that's kind of where it stands. And yeah, happy to get more details for you all. And if this is a open document, I'd also be happy to put it in front of our CTO to answer any questions or maybe fill in some of the gaps that the committee members are seeing. So yeah, happy to provide more information. And I think that's hopefully a good enough gist.
Okay. If I may, I'm going to go out on behalf of the committee here for a moment. One of the big pieces on this is the fact that there has been prior funding. So obviously it is sustainability, right? So saying that additional funding may be needed to keep this project alive, but what specifically was achieved with these prior funds? What wasn't achieved, and why hasn't the fund been successful under its prior funding and still requiring additional funds? I know that's kind of a direct one. If that's better for Ben, we can direct it that way.
Probably this is something that Ben would have more involvement with, but I know that there's been kind of on with just as the chain has evolved, Conway has evolved or come into focus. There's been some sort of feature involvement or evolution, I guess I should say, with particularly CTO, and that's why that's kind of an ongoing, because it's involved piece of middleware that does a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes to build the transactions, is my understanding. And then there's also some issues with we originally did a WASM based build that had a lot of bloat, and I understand that WASM blobs are particularly opaque, and you can't really optimize them into smaller pieces. So there's been kind of like some tech debt in terms of WASM. There's been tech debt in the spirit of like a focus on pure script, and with kind of more of a focus that Cardo seems to be going sort of more, especially with Midnight, like a more kind of like, I don't know what to say, less niche language stacks, more mainstream language stacks. We want to kind of follow those trends. So we have had like, basic functionality, obviously, with these tools, but it's kind of like sort of helping them evolve with the way that like priorities are shifting in the ecosystem, I think has been, a big reason why we do continuous funding and then just tech debt and addressing new features as they come about. So it's important for us, especially, I guess CTL is definitely one of the big ones that we can keep, clients up to date with, the features and the transactions they need to build for the applications, especially with governance. So again, that's a little bit high level and sort of gisty, but yeah, Ben can definitely flesh out details and things I'm missing here.
Okay. Eric?
Luke, thank you for all the background. I would like to make the request for additional information, especially on adoption.
Sure.
To focus on, so what I've heard from you is MLab and MLab customers, and you were able to use this with clients. From an open source committee perspective, we are interested in organic adoption by others who did not contract with MLab and adopting the technology to use it just because it is open source and they saw it as a good technological solution. The other part of adoption is developers engaging on the technology advancement who are not employed by MLab or any affiliated organization. So if you can show us that, hey, there is at least an inkling of open source collaboration in a community sense, that would be a huge help for us.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think this is information that exists that I don't have perfect clarity on because I don't, for example, deal with the repos directly very often. But I'm happy to source that information. I don't know if there's like a natural sort of cadence to like coming back with some of the questions that you've raising and then sort of answering them. But happy to do that. I understand the point. Of course, like all these projects are obviously open source, and clients are free to make decisions on the technical stack. We just have expertise with these, and we have seen people adopt them. And I think some of them have been, they've been working with us. Some of them have come into agreements with us midway. So we don't always just, say, hey, a client wants to do this, and like, hey, use the technology that we built. That does happen sometimes because they ask for recommendations, of course. But yeah, the natural sort of growth, I completely understand that point, and I'll try to source more information there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So I think cadence-wise, if you, by any chance, could get us the information by next week, that gives us 1 week to review it, and then we can discuss again and make decision, hopefully, at the next committee meeting in 2 weeks.
Sure. Where's the good way to answer this? Is this document open?
Let me get the questions formulated, Luke, and I will send that to you and Ben.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's perfect. Thanks.
Bernard?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to contribute to the CTL, that one plutonic one. I've been with Cardano for quite some time. It has been one of the tools, effective tools in the Cardano ecosystem. I could have been using it up until now, but unfortunately, I didn't go into pure script. So I will give you some states. That one I would really like to vote for it. Although, unlike, it is on the category of Helios, which I'm using, Mesh, which we know, Lucid, which is also used. But let me at least give you some bit of states. On the GitHub repo, the CTL has 51 forks, it has 93 stars, it has 40 contributors. So if we don't assist with this one, it means this ecosystem that is utilizing this CTL, the Cardano transaction library, is going to be heavily affected. That is why I would like to come up and vote for it strongly. Thank you for my side.
Thanks, Bernard. Okay, so if I understand, what we'd like to do is get additional information, so I'll source that from the minutes here and send out those requests accordingly. I was going to offer an alternative option, which is to have us focus on adjusting the application and then maybe just request for reapplication, but that could maybe add more time to the process. So we can pursue with that first option for now, but I would highlight from, I believe, last week's conversation that we do need to take a look at all of our applications, tooling, even the maintainer retainer one, and so on, to make sure that we're asking the right questions and getting the right information up front.
Yes, agreed. We need to review those applications. Do we have, I know the applications are up on ClickUp to click through. Do we have a planning document where we can add comments?
This document here, I believe Sebastian said he did add it to the shared drive. I'll try to confirm that, but this has been linked in the Discord channel. This would be a good document for those internal notes or questions so that we keep that all together.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I will grab the link just so I can share that while I'm here. Actually, Sebastian, doesn't look like it's in the drive yet, so you may want to still look at moving that. We'll move to the last item that we had on the agenda here. This one ended up being quite brief, which is great, but we have this here as confirming decisions for the maintainer retainer program. It's my hope that everyone's had a chance to take a closer look at this. I don't have an exact list, I would say, for you guys to sign off on. But basically, anyone that's been through an interview already, this is a final call to make sure that you have your feedback provided, if you so wish. The previous agreement was to count that as 2 committee members having provided feedback would be sufficient per applicant or per interview. The project interviews have also been provided. Those recordings are available in the shared drive. So this is kind of an open request here at this point. Does anybody have an issue with anyone who has been interviewed or even to their project interview at this point? We don't have to name anybody, but is there anybody that has a concern with any of the candidates thus far?
Okay, so I have to revisit my scores because I got some kind of personal reflection about the importance of providing maintainers to the projects that don't become a blocker in the contribution process of the projects. That was based on the reflection is based on the most recent interview with the this week. We had this week an interview between the new maintainer and the owner of the project, and this owner commented that kind of that situation, right? So I think I have to reflect on that from my side. Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot.
To clarify, is that reflection for the future, or does that bar current people in the pipeline?
No, just for tuning my reviews. Yeah, for the future, of course. I find a better situation when the project is the entity that sends the maintainers to the program, because they have some kind of relationship that facilitates the work between the project and the maintainers. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, thanks.
So I hate to frame it this way, but I would just refer to myself as a resident expert, having been around for most of this. The goal here is to bring in new people to the project or pick up maintainers that have been dismissed for reasons outside of their control. So we're not always going to be in a situation where we have a former maintainer of that project who's applying under this program. A lot of the projects have been very accepting of a new maintainer, and feel that they've been able to get at least an adequate bearing on the skills that they bring. So again, the formal question is kind of consensus here. If there's a reason why we should not continue with those who have been interviewed thus far, speak now or forever hold your peace. If it's things that we can do just to continue to improve the program, we will continue to work on that, like during the application reviews, the changes and reviews. Bernard.
Yes, from my observation, the only issue that I touched my heart, I think the applicants are too few. I'm just trying to find out, could it be that maybe there is too much funding for different projects right now through the treasurer? Or I know I've seen adverts even on ads for these programs for people to apply. But when I don't know, I may be wrong. When I looked, I thought the number of people that are applying are too few to give us an option in the selection process. It's not Intersect's fault, because we're advertising everywhere. I've seen those adverts, but I'm not sure why Because when we started this program, paid open source, even when I was a DA, I was anticipating a drive of a lot of open source developers coming here for this. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we would cover in the application changes and review state, as well as the documents that outline each program. I don't have this as a direct piece of feedback, but it just gauging kind of the atmosphere or the ecosystem around it. I do believe that some of the programs prescribe too high a qualification that's creating that blocker for us to see just an overwhelming amount of application. Yeah, granted, if we'd had that overwhelming amount, then there's a lot more work to be done, right? So there's some things that have been done healthfully that way. But I'd agree. I'd love to see more, and I think that's something we continue to work on and target for next year, right? First year pushing it through. Let's figure out how we do it best for next year, and hopefully we see a much better drive of application there.
And I think the Bernard raised a good point, and Bernard raised a very good point, and I given some of my input earlier or asked as a question, and from my circle there are around 20 plus developers, very good as well. I talked to them; they were keen interest on this part, but there was definitely a conflict of interest stroke, the situation where when they are working 8-9 hours in work, when do they maintain this part? And so that become one issue. On the other side, I'm quite okay to let them work on these projects from company in our time as well. But that means, the company is funding their time because, right? So there's no way that, we can route these maintainers through the company kind of account, right? It has to be individual. I know it has to be individual named, but I think it was more of contractual stroke payment process. How does it happen, right? Otherwise, I was keen to, do even not one, 3, 4, and would have, the committee could have selected if they like the person or not, but none of them apply, actually speaking. So that's how probably the interest draws, because it is part-time opportunity. It is partially paid. So if somebody is in full-time job, it's very difficult to work on this parallelly without companies consent. Basically, let's put it this way.
Gotcha. That's great feedback, and I think we should take that back to the drawing board to reconsider if we need to change something specific to that approach. So something we can keep looking at. We are at time, so I appreciate everyone. Let me keep you another minute or two. I just want to kind of let everyone get their thoughts out. We do have the budget call tomorrow, and we do have some things that we need to tidy up. So please do make sure to attend. I will be on the road, but I'm hoping to be in a position to be taking notes and adjusting live. But we will see you guys tomorrow. And real quick before we go, Luke.
Oh yeah, I just want to know real quick for our notes, are these recorded and posted, these meetings?
They are. This will be available on YouTube in probably the next 4 hours.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.